On 1985, Sega released Hang-On for the arcades to critical and commercial success, cited as being a crucial piece in saving the arcade market from one of its first downfalls, as it started bringing in new people interested in this wave of video games that were the pinnacle of what the newest technology had to offer, even going above culture stigmas and destroying all initial claims that any sensible Japanese person will never do something like wanting to ride a machine in front of others. While first released as a simple upright cabinet with just the handlebar, after proving popular enough they released the deluxe mini ride-on cabinet, which had a full motorcycle for the player to sit on and tilt for an immersive handling experience. This started the trend of Taiken games, meaning body sensation in Japanese, where the entire cabinet was designed to accommodate the player for a complete game experience, with the most popular being their next game, Outrun. Just you and your girlfriend driving a top model Ferrari to one of 5 exotic locations while listening to some catchy tunes. This time, the cabinet not only has a steering wheel, but also a stick shift and both the acceleration and brake pedals. You basically have an entire car in here, so they went ahead and did just that. It's one of the few cabinets that I personally tried, and it's definitely amazing as it looks, as it's one of the few things that is hard to replicate at home without a significant investment. I love Outrun as much as anyone else, but personally I've always preferred motorcycles over automobiles, even if both are pretty fun to drive, be it in video games or real life. But in comparison, Hang-On was kinda lacking, even if it was released just a year prior. Backgrounds weren't that complex, you only had one music track, albeit a real damn good one, and the game was basically a single stage that was over in just under 7 minutes. But right around the corner, something was coming, at a real high speed. Super Hang-On was released on 1987 for the arcades to moderate success. Outrun still managed to beat it by popularity in the long run. Similar to the first game, you had both upright and deluxe cabinets, this time in a color scheme more closely resembling the in-game bike, which was originally based on the Honda NCR 500 from the very own Grand Prix champion Eddie Lawson. Developed right off the sensibilities that made Outrun the iconic game that it is, Super Hang-On now sports 4 different continent-based courses divided by difficulty, not only increasing the number of stages that you have to race through with barely any time for mistakes, but also the complexity of the route and the number of adversaries you face on the road. Hiroshi Kawaguchi did not return to work on the soundtrack, but is excused cause the series' main theme still rocks pretty hard. Instead, what we got is the result of a collaborative effort, offering 4 new amazing songs to choose from, all matching the high energy tempo of the racing. For the gameplay, it's basically the same as the original, in all but a small addition that gives it an extra edge over the relaxed nature of Outrun. When you hit 280, you can hold an extra button down to activate the turbo. While nothing revolutionary on paper, you understand how great it is as soon as you use it for the first time, and how this simple mechanic is the missing piece for a perfect gameplay system. The challenge comes from maintaining a level of high speed that is often too high even if you have a mastery over cornering, so that you always have the turbo available, but using it often comes with the risk of not being able to react in time with the obstacles on the course, and that is something very common on the hardest stages. There is this one part in the Asian course where after a handful of hard stages, they just give you an entire stage that is literally one big soft curve, and that moment of pure speed is just It's this high risk, high reward system that is further enhanced by the perfect sound that the turbo makes, so that you not only feel the speed, but hear it too, as you push the bike past its limits. Couple this with any of the 4 songs included, and I might even dare to say that during the highest levels of play, Super Hang-On turns into a rhythm game, as you are inclined by a primitive drive to push the turbo and go all out to the beat of the music. I always thought of how ridiculous it is for a bike to reach 324 km per hour, but as of now, the fastest commercial bike, the Kawasaki Ninja H2R, can reach speeds up to 350, so that's fucking nuts. Have in mind that when Super Hang-On came out, the fastest bike could only go as far as 250, and that was back when we still didn't give a shit about the environment, so that's double impressive. I should state that I know absolutely nothing about motorcycle sports, so it's highly possible that I might say at least one really stupid thing by the end of this video. Unfortunately, I first played Super Hang-On on a PAL Mega Drive, which only made the already present slowdown even worse. That version has all the arcade courses, plus an original mode where you compete in races to win money and upgrade your bike. It's a neat little addition, but the performance in comparison to the arcade version really makes it hard to sell nowadays. However, if you are interested in playing it after watching this, I heartily recommend the 3DS version by the wonderful folk at M2. If you don't know, they ported a great number of Genesis games to the 3DS, which are actually running native on the console and not just bad emulation. This has enabled them to introduce a bunch of great features in their ports, with some even surpassing the originals. Even if you don't care about the stereoscopic 3D option, which they went into great lengths to achieve, and it's actually pretty impressive, they are still worth playing, especially when you can take them on the go. They also started doing the same for others on the Switch, with titles like Virtual Racing and also Outrun, which are definitely worth the price. They should really put all the 3DS games that are already ported into the Switch, but oh well. So, why am I making a video for such a small game? Well, first of all, this is as close to what some people might call a 10 out of 10, so it fucking deserves it. But I'm mostly doing this to put it out there in hopes that it leads to something new. Like the majority of the franchises that Sega owns, it's just sitting there collecting dust, and it deserves a last good sequel, at least on the same level of quality as Outrun 2006. I love that game too, and for a good reason, as Sumo Digital knows how to make a great racing game, with All Stars Racing Transformed being another great example of their work. We don't talk about Team Sonic Racing though, that had some upper Sega management meddling energy, so I'll just avoid that one. Even so, I would like to see them give a try at Hang-On, even after Burden managed to get 2 modern games that are also pretty fun. Hell, let Lizard Cube do it and keep the 2D look. They seem to have a good head on their shoulders after that Wonder Boy remake and the amazing Streets of Rage 4, so I bet they could also pull it off. And it's not like it would be that complicated to design a new entry. That's the beauty of the simple yet addicting gameplay which the arcade experience was known for. Of course, money was to be made, and back then bullshit difficulty was thrown into the mix to make you spend more money to continue. But the excellent core is still there. With that, you have the opportunity to add a bunch of extra features that enrich the game that is already good with stuff like game modes or extra unlockables. Like, have an option to play as a hot babe, or have a ride on the back to give you missions like in Outrun, with that air flowing underneath the helmet, giving the riding a nice flow, which could be applied to other characters like maybe a Kamen Rider homage character with a flowing red scarf. This is Sega we're talking about. You can literally use Otsuma and the cool scarf tag from Shinobi. And while we're at it, put other characters like Alex Kidd, Ryo, and even Shadow. Just give him his gun too, why not? Okay, no, that's already the gimmick of a different franchise. That doesn't make any sense. It's what I would like to say, but the Amiga version actually lets you have a gun. Bet you didn't know about that. I'm getting hyped for games that don't exist, and probably will never. The last reference to the series that I can come up with is from Sonic Riders, which itself is another game that Sega should make something out of again, but will probably never happen. There really is a void of fun motorcycle games nowadays, and I think that should be looked at. When I need my fix, there isn't much in terms of offer. I either go back to Burnout Paradise and roam around while listening to the Super Hang-On music, or play a bit of one of the GTAs. Oh well, here's hoping for something good in the future, In the meantime, another run of Super Hang-On.